If you're a father and you cannot see your kids, you're going through a custody case, the other side, the mother of your kids, your baby mama, your wife, or soon-to-be ex-wife is accusing you of abuse, endangering your child, or anything that is keeping you from seeing your child just one day, let alone a month, let alone years. What we're gonna talk about in this podcast is how to protect yourself, prevent this from going any further, and how to protect yourself in court. Look, I don't want you to make a $10,000, $20,000, $200,000 mistake, let alone not see your kids for something that could have been handled in an easy, simple way. And I know it's a complex situation, but that's what we're gonna cover. Let's go outside.
Hey guys, my name is Steve Mayeda and I'm a men's coach in Austin, Texas. I'm a BJJ practitioner, a Wim Hof enthusiast. I have an amazing family, 4 awesome boys and a beautiful wife. And what this podcast is about being the better man. What we talk about is tried and true because we've been doing it with groups of men just like you for over 12 years. Listen up, and I hope you enjoy.
Gentlemen, my name is Steve Mayeda. I'm a men's coach from Austin, Texas, and what I do is I work with men from all around the world who are pursuing personal excellence. Many of those men are divorced dads or dads who are married, or it could be single guys, but it's all across the board of men, some of them just like you, who found excellence in their life. What I'm gonna cover for you today in this video are 5 things that you absolutely have to do if you're going through this. And if you are going through this and you think you can bypass it, you can't. I've literally worked with thousands of guys who've been in this very situation. I'm gonna show you how to do it right. And by wrong, those consequences are vast. Meaning that you may not be able to get to see your kids, not just for a day or a week or a month, but for years. You may end up resolving something for $20, $30, $50, $200,000 that could have cost you a couple $100 and some common sense. And most importantly, you could lose the respect of your kids. The kids who could be possibly lied to by the mother of your kids. They might think you're an abuser or a drug addict or something that you're not. And that is the biggest tragedy of it all. So if you don't want any of those things to happen, listen up. Number 1 on this list is Ryan Duguay. He's an attorney that lives here in Austin, Texas, but there's a lot of sound advice that he has to offer in the interview that we did a few months back. Now that's a 2-hour interview, and it's literally going to tell you based on principle everything that you need to do as a man to protect yourself in a court case, find the right lawyer, not get screwed over, not fall into the pitfalls of the American court system or perhaps wherever you're watching this, but also how to not get screwed over by an attorney who basically sells you in the wrong way, which is something that we're going to talk to you here about in a second. But that interview is super important. You can watch it by the links down below. Please, every guy in my group who's gone through a divorce, whether it ended up bad or good, thinks that that interview is invaluable. Watch it, have an open mind, get off the internet. You need to stop listening to the 1,000 guys with their one story of their horror, divorce, whatever you want to call it, and start listening to the one lawyer or thousands of lawyers who have thousands of cases of experience, which can tell you the exact right thing to do. And also in this, Ryan's going to tell you your best chances for getting custody of your kids and exactly how to do it. So be sure and listen to that. So the next thing that I want to talk to you about is the law in getting a lawyer. You hear a lot of guys talk about winning custody without a lawyer. I wouldn't try it. In fact, I know thousands of guys who say that that would be a mistake. There's actually a guy who comments on my YouTube saying that you don't need a lawyer and he has some product selling it. Look, I don't know what his circumstance is, and that can definitely happen, but that is super rare. You hear way more about guys getting screwed over to technicalities and things that only lawyers know. Anyway, let me get on to the point. So within my group, there's a lot of guys who've had divorces, who've gone through custody, won, lost, and so on. But the end goal is they have a good relationship with their kids. What's so important about all of this is that that court case never ended up like they expected. There are small things that happen within that process that you cannot predict for and you may not know. Do not expect the court, the judges, the jury to be rational. Do not expect for you to understand the laws just because your friends or your family or everybody in the world thinks that you're right and should have custody of your child. Do not think that just because you have something on tape or you have proof or her drug history or she's been a stripper or whatever it is going to guarantee that you get custody. That is not how the courts work. The courts need somebody to understand and articulate the law on your behalf in order for a judge to understand it, a jury, a mediator, whoever, to get it, to decide who gets custody. And here's the thing, is once that custody ruling happens, it's very, very hard to get it overturned. The internet is a big place that's given a voice to a lot of men who want to blame society and culture, or whatever the hell you want to call it, on why they can't be a dad. Let me just tell you, the court systems are screwed up. I'm right there with you. I do not think it was fair what happened to me, but you need an attorney who is an expert in order to get you where you need to go. Again, listen to Ryan's interview. It's in the show notes or at the little I thing above. He probably gives some of the best advice that you can take on this. Do not listen to men who are angry about their one tragic, terrible divorce story. Listen to a guy who's dealt with thousands of those. I don't know if you can tell this, but it is like evil hot right now. Like, whoa. I'm not sure if it's 100 degrees or what, but I'm gonna go find some more shade. Man, the heat. All right, so number 3 is you find a good lawyer. And how do you do that? This deserves a whole video on its own for anything. But the number one thing about finding a good lawyer is this: if you do not find a good lawyer and you hire a bad lawyer, you're gonna spend your life savings on getting the right lawyer to fix the mistakes of that bad lawyer. Does that make sense? So if you hire a bad lawyer and they screw up your case in so many ways that they can, man, you're really screwed. Now, there's tons of ways a lawyer can screw you over. It happens all the time. Ryan talks about it in his interview. One of the pieces of advice that he gives is do not go for the men's rights or father's rights attorneys. That's always a scam. Go for the lawyer with the $200 haircut. Go for the lawyer that has a reputation for being a good lawyer rather than the one that's going to sell you on emotion and how angry you are, or the shark. There isn't one. He breaks that down a lot in the interview, and it's really important. Look, on a personal level, in terms of business, I've been in a couple lawsuits. I've also had problems with the child custody stuff. You need to hire a good lawyer. Do not go for the one who's selling you on emotion. Do not. Do not go for the one that's guaranteeing you that your baby mama's crazy and they know that the judge is gonna side with. Just that is the person you don't want to be around. So how do you find a good lawyer? How do you find somebody that is going to win your case if they can win your case? So I want to go over a couple things here. The number one thing to finding a good lawyer is a reference from another lawyer. I realize that you may not have that opportunity to know a bunch of lawyers, but like for me, 3 different lawyers, independent, who don't know each other, don't know really anything about each other, all recommended Ryan as the best person for me to interview when it came to child custody. Now, there's a couple other recommendations that I have from people, and I'll get around to interviewing them in time and so on, but look, that's pretty high praise. When you can have other attorneys reference that attorney, that's key. Now, a reference from another person, that's great, but again, you don't know the details of that court case. What's even more sad in court cases is sometimes guys don't even win. They just are happy with the end result. In fact, sometimes that's the best you're gonna get is just dual custody or the fight subsides and so on. But you do not know if that lawyer who's recommended by your friend really had to fight and really took the best options there. Other lawyers know that kind of stuff. Now, because that may not be an option for you, and I get it, at one time I didn't know a lot of lawyers, but that's a pro tip for you. Get to know a lot of lawyers. They tend to drink a lot, so go to the lawyer bars, or some of them might be in recovery because they did drink too much. Another pro tip. So here's what I advise, and actually a lot of my friends who are attorneys advise this too. Interview a minimum of 3 lawyers. Pay the consultation fees. Don't try and be cheap on this. A lawyer that charges a consultation fee usually deserves that consultation fee. Another thing about expensive lawyers, so don't be afraid at the hourly rate. A lot of times they work more efficiently than people who charge less. But They could also be lazy too, so you really need to do your homework on this. Of those 3 lawyers, you should interview one that has been in practice for at least 20 years. That person has been there, done it, seen it all. Then hire another one who is younger, maybe under 10 years, no less than 5 years in practice, who is tenacious, who is going for it. The person who endlessly works. The guy who's single and doesn't have a family and just sacrifices everything for what he's doing with his career. Maybe the guy that drinks too much. Well, maybe not. And then your third lawyer that you interview should be referenced from one of those attorneys. See, that seems kind of weird because attorneys are always trying to sell you on things, and I get that, but they also do want to be professional, and an attorney that does not recommend another attorney, well, they suck. Now, like I said, there's all sorts of things that you need to be wary about attorneys, and I'll make a separate video for that. But again, Ryan talks about it in his interview, so like a broken record here. Anyway, I'm just gonna stop mentioning it. Check it out. You get it. I think we're good. All right, the fourth thing that we want to be talking about today is lose the fight. I get it. It's your kids. They get taken away. They're in danger. Your wife is harming them. I can't believe I stayed with that crazy bitch for X amount of years. I should have left earlier. You want to fight. Everything about you is the fight. I get it. But in all of this, what if I told you the way that every single man that I know loses and gets screwed over in the most tragic way? Meaning that you may not get to see your kids for years. Meaning that your kids start believing everything that people are lying to them about. You know how that happens? Is because the man fights. I just got a message on one of my other videos, which you should definitely check out. It's in that little eye thing that you click up there. But fight, stop fighting. Man, she brought the fight to me. This is how masculinity screws itself. There's great things about being a man. There's great things about fighting. I have fought for my kids. I bleed for my children. I do everything for my family now. But fighting with the mother of your kids over tick-for-tack stuff, guess what's gonna happen? It's gonna end up in a stupid text message, a stupid voicemail, a stupid email, a stupid something, some trash talking amongst your friends, and it's gonna end up in your court case. That one little text message could be the thing which turns the jury to side with her, which turns the jury to go wrong in so many ways. I am telling you, this is a waste of time. I am telling you from working with thousands of men who've thought the same thing that you're thinking, it is the wrong decision. Man, it is hot out there. So the fifth thing that you need to worry about is when you're a dad, you're always a dad. And if there's going to be something that you're going to work at, if there's something that you're going to be on these kids' life, it's going to be your relationship with them. Do not tarnish that by being weak, falling into blame, getting caught up in the subculture of hate and anger that so many men do when they get divorced. The court systems wrong them. If you cannot see your kids like me for 5 years, better yourself, better your mind, better your pocketbook, better your career, better your relationships, because those kids need to look up to you, not in how they need to protect themselves and blame the world, but they need to look at you when they get wronged, how they can look up to you. I am so thankful that in all of this, my friends, my family, the people in my life were people that I could count on when I did not know what to do. And that is exactly what you need. The only way you're going to get that is if you level up and if you step up. And when we started this podcast, we talked about, I don't want you to make a $20,000, $250,000 mistake like so many of my friends did because you didn't take the right actions. Watch that interview, realize that you are not a lawyer and the law is not probably how you think. Learn how to pick a lawyer and decide upon a good one. Lose the tough guy facade. Don't fight, because if you really want to fight, you should be fighting to get more money or fight the legal battle better. Cut your BS masculinity out of it and put that in check. The most masculine thing you can do is be a father. And right now that might mean not picking up the gauntlet that's been thrown in front of you. And that last thing, your kids need you, man. They need you at your best. And right now, your best can't be with a family. It can't be with them. So do everything that you can legally, financially, mentally, and emotionally so you can be there for them when you are. Because I can guarantee you this, if you don't rock the boat anymore, you're gonna see those kids. You're gonna see them soon. And they need you to be your best. If this is something that resonated with you, you can always message me. But what I'd really say is contact me on the Austin Men's Development Board. Do our challenges, get on our calls, check out MD Excellence. There's so much of a community right here for you with men made by you who have your story that lived into greatness. And that is what I want for you. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk to you guys soon.